I vividly remember the day my father told me that we'd be moving to Oklahoma. To my 14-year-old mind, my world had just fallen apart. The only thing worse than the news was being told that we were going to be moving that day. I remember pleading with my parents, begging that we stay. When that didn't work and I was told to quickly pack my things, I started to ask that we just be able to stay one more day, so that I could at least be able to tell my friends at school goodbye. My father snapped at me.
We don't have time to wait a day. We have to go now.
I looked at him stunned. A thin sheet of sweat smeared across his forehead. My father rarely, if ever, raised his voice, and he definitely never raised it at me. That mixed with the news that I just got and pushed me over the edge. I ran out the door, slamming it behind me. I ran down the block, making my way to my best friend's house, the beginning of tears stinging my eyes. I arrived at the door, sweat dripping down my face. Letting out a series of knocks, I waited for someone to come to the door. Aaron opened the door a minute later and said,
Hey Todd, how's it going?
A smile painted across his face, that quickly faded when he got a good look at me.
What's going on, man?
Concern painted his voice. My words caught in my throat as tears fought to be released. My family's moving away, I said, my voice cracking at the statement.
What? What do you mean you're moving away?
Aaron asked. We're moving away today, I said, looking down at the ground as if it held the answers to my problems. We both stood there, neither of us knowing what to say. That's when Aaron broke the silence.
I'm gonna miss you, man,
he said with a shaky voice. I looked up at him, tears ran down his face freely. That's when the tears that I was fighting back finally won and sprinted down my face in streams. We both sat down on his porch and started talking. We started out talking about our favorite memories, but we quickly changed the subject, realizing that we would get nowhere if both of us were blubbering like babies. So we decided to talk about more mundane things.
You realize you're gonna miss that test on Thursday, right?
Yeah, I replied, a small smile reaching my lips.
You lucky bastard. If I knew I could miss one of Mr. Richards' tests that easily, I would have moved ages ago.
Aaron chuckled. One thing I'll be glad to miss is Mrs. Blanchard's cooking. We both made grimacing faces as we thought about the old lunch lady's terrible cooking, which wasn't even good enough for pigs.
You know,
Aaron began. I groaned, already knowing where he was going.
I told you should have made a move on Esther.
I thought about the beautiful girl that I'd never be able to see again. Her kind eyes and flowing blonde hair. I could have kicked myself for my cowardice of not making a move sooner. I groaned into my hands. I hate my life.
Don't worry, buddy. There are plenty of fish in the sea. Besides, I'll take real good care of her,
he said with a wry smile. I looked at Aaron sharply, but I quickly let it fade away. There was no point in me getting angry, and it would be selfish of me to tell him not to date a girl I'd never see again. Besides, as much of a joke as it was, I knew Aaron actually had feelings for Esther. Go for it, man, I said, looking out at the street.
What?
He asked. Consider it my goodbye gift. I give you my blessing to go after the girl I never had the balls to go after.
I was just joking, dude,
he weakly lied. Yeah, and I'm a 5-foot penguin wearing a bow tie and a clown nose named Bobo. We've been friends for all of our lives. I know you better than your own mother probably knows you. You can't lie to me, man. I appreciate you not going after Esther on my behalf, but I know you like her just as much as I do, if not more. I'm serious, man. Go for it. He looked at me, his eyes serious.
Thanks, Todd. I appreciate you giving me the go-ahead.
Then a smarmy grin spread across his face.
Not that I wouldn't have made my move the second you were out of town anyways.
I laughed, shaking my head. Then I felt myself get somber. I'm gonna miss you too, Aaron, I said, the tears that had gone away coming back with a vengeance. I got up and Aaron rose with me. I gotta go. As much as I want to stay, my dad's already packing things, and I know he'll leave half of my room behind if I don't go pack myself.
Before you go, wait here for a second. I'll be right back.
With that, Aaron disappeared into his house. He came back a minute later holding something in his hand. Stretching his hand out to give it to me, I took it. I looked down at the rectangular object, recognizing it immediately. It was an old walkie-talkie, one twin to the other I had back at home. It was covered in stickers and scratch marks from years of abuse.
Consider it my goodbye gift. It doesn't work anymore. Didn't kick the bucket a while ago, but it's something to remember the good times we had, and to remember me by.
I looked back up at Aaron. Thanks, man, I said, squeezing it in my hand, feeling the weight of it. But I don't need this to remember you. I'll never forget you, and you know that.
Keep it anyways. I want you to have it.
We pulled each other into a hug, and it felt like a piece of my soul died on Aaron's porch. I love you, man, I said.
I love you too.
Aaron replied, his voice shaking. When the embrace ended, I walked off the porch and started moving towards my house that was soon to be someone else's. Out of pure habit, I turned one last time and said, I'll see you later. And another piece of my soul died. I quickly arrived back home. Parked in front of our house was a U-Haul truck, which made me realize that this truly was actually happening. I walked into the house, seeing boxes hastily packed, most not even having tape on them. I moved towards my room. Then I heard my father's voice.
Where were you?
He asked in a sharp tone. I was saying goodbye to Aaron, I said, my sadness bubbling into heated anger. And since it seems what I want doesn't matter, I took it upon myself to at least be able to say goodbye to one person. My father looked as though he was going to argue more, but my mom walked into the room, and he seemed to think better of it.
Just go pack your stuff quickly. We gotta get out of here. Only pack essential things.
I was so angry at my father. I didn't even think to ask why we were leaving. I walked to my room, my stomach filled with boiling anger towards my father. Entering it, it was a mess, as usual, clothes and stuff all over the floor. I grabbed the box that was sitting on my bed and hastily started to fill it with clothes. Luckily for me, I wasn't that big on clothes in the first place, so I didn't own that many. It took me about 10 minutes to have all of my clothes stuffed into 3 boxes. I probably could have had all of my clothes in just 2 boxes if I cared enough to actually fold them, but I was already in a sour mood, so I didn't feel like diligently folding every single piece of clothing. When I was done with my clothes, I made sure to locate the second walkie-talkie and throw it into my backpack with Aaron's. I couldn't afford to leave without it. After I was done with that and put the boxes in the U-Haul, I went back for a few more things. Entering my room again, I moved to the TV that was up against the wall on its stand. There was no way I was moving the giant box of a thing, but it wasn't what I came back for in the first place. Just under it on the bottom half of the TV stand was my PS2. There was no way in hell I was leaving it behind. I had just recently got it, and I was forced to save for it, so that made it so much more important. I grabbed it up and the pitifully few amount of games I had for it and put them in a box. After packing, the rest of the things I wanted to carry was easy. It took me less than 10 minutes. It also helped that my dad said that my uncle would be sending the rest of our things down to us in Oklahoma. After everything was packed into the U-Haul, I stared at the only house I ever knew. Remembering all of the good times I had, a mix of sadness and anger warred inside my mind. I still couldn't fully come to terms with what was happening. I was pulled from my thoughts when my dad said,
Okay, let's go. We don't have time to waste. Todd, who are you riding with, me or your mom?
I looked at the middle-aged man like he was insane, the anger winning the war in my mind. Who do you think I'm riding with? Let me give you a hint. It's not the person that derailed my life. It's not the person that ruined my life. It's not the person that asked me that stupid question.
I guess I deserve that.
My father said.
But I promise you that we have to do this.
So, we have to do this, but let me guess. You're not going to tell me why we have to do this, I said, my voice filled with anger. He looked at me, and I knew he wasn't going to give me an answer. I turned to my mom's car where she sat waiting. In less than a minute, we were off. Off to a place that would change my life forever. Hello once again. It's been a while since I've done one of these after story scenes, after story talks or whatever. And before I get into any more detail about this story and the series that I'm starting, I want to thank everybody who subscribed and got me past 200 subscribers. This is crazy right now. One of my videos somehow has 18,000 views, and I don't even know how that happened. And a lot of people subscribed thanks to it. I am so grateful for that. The YouTube algorithm was like, hey buddy, we're gonna give you a shot real quick. But it's crazy to see that many people watch one of my videos. And it's kind of scary. Honestly, I'm not used to that many people listening to one of my stories. But yeah, I want to say welcome to all the new people, and thanks to those who subscribe. I hope you guys are enjoying the stories, and I hope you're gonna enjoy this new series. On to the new series. I'm taking a different route from standalone stories. I felt like it's time for me to actually start a continuation. If you're paying attention to my other stories, they're all connected, but let's keep that on the down low. Don't let anybody know that. Let's see if people will pick up on it. Anyway, this is gonna be a longer story. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know when it's gonna end. Everything's like I'm just writing. Each one will be a chapter. So it's gonna be like a book, but not really. Like it's like an audiobook. It's following this main character, Todd. And I hope you guys enjoy it. I don't want to spoil anything, obviously, but what I have planned out, his life will be pretty interesting. So I hope you guys stick around for that. Anyway, this one, I wouldn't say it's completely horror focused, but it has its moments. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I want to say. Thank you everybody that subscribed, and crazy amount of views I got in that one video. I'm still trying to wrap my head around that. But yeah, let me stop rambling. I'd like to thank everybody for watching, and if you made it far, thank you very much. And come back next time when I bring you another crazy story from a world much like your own.